Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Performance E Streaming. It is Thursday night, and that means one thing. It's time for the Funder here at Performance E Streaming. Yes, it is the ANZCAR X-Finity series. I'm as Mr. Carl Wilkinson with you up here in the booth, and I'm joined by Mr. Mark Johansson. Mark, how you going, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Good to be back here at Indianapolis. Looking forward to seeing what these 24 drivers can do here tonight. We just seen there before, a little bit slippery out there tonight in some of the cars in their warm-ups and qualifying. A few slip and slides. So it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out.
Absolutely. Well, it is very, very hot out there indeed. We are looking at 48-degree track temperature, 30-degree air temperature tonight. That is incredibly warm at the Brickyard, and that is going to probably explain why it's been so slippery.
Yeah, definitely right. I definitely don't want to be that right front tyre here tonight, getting into those turns. And you know, there's only 9 degrees of banking on turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So it's going to be a little bit hard, but I'll let you run through the starting grid, Carl.
Absolutely. Taking pole position to not too much surprise. It is Indianapolis, it is a NASCAR, and it is Jason Martin. Barry Neal on his outside. So these two battling in the championship very hard, with this man behind him, Andrew Dyson, starting in third. All three championship protagonists in a battle up the front. Slightly different orders to the championship standings. Shane Bowen lines up outside of Dyson on row 2. Row 3, we've got Chris Ireland with Josh Mickelmore. On row 4, it's JCW and Dave Douglas. The Queenslander is nursing an evening of regret, I imagine, today. Row number 5, we've got Stevie Dubb with Lachlan Urquio. Row number 6 is Noddy Tompkins and Cade Donnelly. On the 7th row, we've got Perry Anastakis. Welcome back to the series with Gary Wellman. Row number 8 is Norman Clark with Riley Curtis. Row 9, we've got Ben Henniker with Maxi Marshall. On the 10th row, it's Brad Fenley and Aidan Schultz. On row 11, we've got Ruben Phelps with Derek Jacobs. Row 12, returning Matty Ray and newcomer Zach Mitchell.
Well, I can tell you now, it's good to see Matty Ray back out here. Big work commitments for him this year. Changed the job earlier in the year, and unfortunately it takes him away from the sim racing. So I would expect to see some good results from him there. Also out there, Lachlan Urquio at the bottom of the top 10, but just in 10th place. Look for him to make a good run through the field. Big impression by Shane Bowen, made out of 4th place. I'm expecting a big thing for him. He's been very close to podiums this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Shane Bowen has been knocking on the doors. Actually, I think he may have got a podium the other night in the lightning rounds, or 4th position at least, but he is absolutely banging on the door of the top 10, and watch out for his speed. Pace car pulls in, the green flag is ready, and we are about to go racing here at Indianapolis. It is the Brickyard, it is ANZCAR, and away we go. Let's listen to these fantastic cars roar away. Oh, we got a wreck happening in the mid-corner. A big incident there, and that's caught a lot of people out. And I think it may have been Lachlan Urquio from that image. Let's see if we can get a bit of a closer look at what's going on. Lachlan Urquio was involved in that one. I saw a blue car in that one too. Let's see if we can get the replay.
I think it was JCW.
Let's go and get this replay underway and see if we can catch this one as it happens. bear with me one moment as we get this. So there we go, that's the start of it there. So 3 into 1 does not go sometimes, and this is going to be the case as Chris Island just comes down and catches JCW, pings him up in front of a whole heap of cars, and then we get a secondary checkup. Maxi Marshall, big hit with that one as well. And, well, that was a big old wreck here at Indy.
Yep, that's the start. Just not the start that JCW would be looking for. So that car's got to sustain a lot of damage. But as you said, Island, I'm not going to say it was his fault because it is oval racing. He's just come down that little bit and probably not even known that JCW was there, and that sent JCW around. Some good avoiding action there from the guys behind them. Unfortunately for Maxi Marshall, he had nowhere to go but into the side of JCW car.
Yeah, that's it. We've got a secondary little impact here with Lachlan Urquhart and Josh Micklemore. Just watch on the exit. You can see there's one of the DPR cars down low. Lockie just sort of going into avoiding action, doesn't realise Micklemore's on his outside, and those two cars are going to make contact with each other, and that causes a second incident here, which caught Dave Douglas in it as well. Just squeezing past there, but Lockie Urquhart and Josh Micklemore, not too much damage to either of them, but that is never what you want to have happen. So that is a couple of very fast cars out early doors here.
Yeah, exactly right. And I can tell you now, Riley Curtis, Shane Bowen's teammate, he's in the Brad Finley and Lachlan Urquhart have come down pit lane. Micklemore is still in pit lane. I'd say he's getting a few repairs done on that car.
Yeah, he took a fairly hefty whack into the front and getting some major repairs done there for Joshy Micklemore. Derek Jacobs back out on track. Our journeyman from America. He's managed to get it back out on track. Maxi Marshall is going to be in for a lot of repairs. JCW is definitely out. We saw his engine go poppity pop pop pop, and unfortunately that was that for JCW.
Yeah, Micklemore's on the way out of pit lane now, so good job. It's can get some good repairs done here at Indy, 2.5 mile track. So and the pace lap seems to never end when you're under caution here, Carl.
No, absolutely. It is a long old lap at Indy. We're just riding on the nose of Derek Jacobs here, just to get a bit of an idea as he catches up to the field. And it is a very, very big track. It's one of those places you look at on the cameras. You see all the big grandstands almost all the way around it, and all of them are filled as well. But you'd never realise just how big the place is. Can you imagine it back when it was all brick, Mark? I mean, just incredible to think that this place has changed so much over the years, but it's such a large track. And, well, you can tell that because they can fit a Formula One circuit in the infield section. You know, that is just how big this place is.
Yeah, huge place. One more lap under the pace car, and then we'll go back green flag. But it's good to see they've paid homage to some of the old track. They've still got a line of bricks down through the start finish line, so it's good to see them keep some of the old bricks there.
That's it, and we've got our camera there, keeping an eye on the bricks, making sure they don't wander anywhere. But it is kind of funny that, because there is that yard of bricks down there, it's a different surface, and sometimes when you run across it, it can unsettle the car, which is a very strange sensation down the straight. Luckily, it is on a very straight part of the track, but it is a funny feeling. So, we will be going back to green flag action very, very shortly. Good evening to everybody as well. Thank you for joining us tonight over on Facebook and on the YouTube too. So, we are about to get back underway, and well, one of the worst things about the Brickyard, Mark, is when we do get a caution, as you said, these pace laps go on forever. We have to waffle on forever trying to find things to talk about.
Yeah, 100% correct there, Carl. But it's good to see him back on the ovals. I definitely didn't like that the road circuit here. But yeah, it's back to tradition, running around, turning left instead of turning right. Also,
No, absolutely great to see them back on the oval. It's as much as I don't mind the Indianapolis road course. It's not the worst one out there, but this is an iconic place for a reason. Green flag's about to drop again, and we're going to go back to green flag racing here. Lap 4 of 80.
great start there by Barry Neal, jump out in the front. Dyson into second, Bowen into third. I believe that's Ireland now up in the fourth.
Stevie Dubb just behind him in 5th position. Jason Martin dropping right down the order here, and I wonder if that is strategic here to try and keep himself in the draft of the cars in front, or if he's just going a bit slow as we got a car going round. The caution flag is out. Riley Curtis is spinning out of turn number 2. What has happened here for Riley Curtis? Let us get a bit of an idea what's going on down here at the back of the field as they get back to racing. This was the replay of that start, and we'll keep our eyes on this car here, the 093, the A1 Sim Sports entry of Riley Curtis. Watch for the 42, the new yellow livery on Lachlan Urquio as well. So a little bit different there. Into the corner they go. Contact between Schultz and Urquio, and Fenley and Curtis have nowhere to go. That is not what you want to have happening that early on, being in a location where there's nothing much you can do other than hit that car that's spinning.
So one good thing though, Carl, is that we're getting all the cautions out of the road early.
Well, absolutely. We've got a caution obligation. We've got to hit every year, so this will help us have less in the future. Oh, if only that was the case, Mark.
Yes, true.
So Fenley's car's not looking too bad. Quite a bit of damage on the front end. That could obviously be damage to the radiator as well, but he looks to be carrying on. Will we see him ducking into the lane very shortly and see if he can get a few repairs done, because that will be very useful indeed to get that car back out on track. So if you're just joining us here at Performance Eastern, first of all, welcome, wherever you've been. But we are here at the Indianapolis circuit, and we are seeing some pit stops. Gary Wellman throwing the dummy there. Long old pit lane here as well. So getting these done under caution is a very wise decision indeed.
And Micklemore's back in there, so I'd say he's looking to get a few more repairs done to that car. Phelps and Matty Ray in there.
Urquio as well. We got the A1 boys of Curtis and Douglas in the lane too. So we're seeing a whole heap of cars coming in and quite a few different strategies at play here. Whose will pay off, we'll find out as this race continues.
Dave Douglas came in for a splash. Phelps in for a splash. I'd say Norman Clark had got a little bit of repairs done. Ben Henker, the other Cobalt car, he's only coming for a splash. Matty Ray's come in, taking some fuel. Derek Jacobs back through the pit lane. I missed there exactly what he got done. But we still got a few cars. Micklemore, Urquio, Riley Curtis and Fenley in pit lane. They'll all be taking some repairs at the moment with the guys out there with some race tape and different things.
Yeah, that is it. There's a lot of repairs to be done, and that is always it's always important to get those repairs done early, because the aero is quite useful here at Indy. It's a fairly fast old circuit, so it is it's useful to get as many of those repairs done as you can.
Berkeley heading out pit lane now. Curtis out of pit lane. So they're all got their cars patched up and back out on track. So luckily, the only people we've lost are JCW in that first lap incident and Maxi Marshall. So we're down to 21 cars still in the field tonight. So let's hope they've got the race jitters out of their system now, and we will see some great green flag racing.
Yeah, let's see how this goes, as hopefully we're going to get a green lap in here, Mark. We've currently not had a full lap of the circuit, so it's very much been a long couple of laps here. You know, you're spending about a minute and almost a minute and a minute 10 seconds behind pace car going around here. So hopefully, 2 minutes I should say, 2 minutes to 10. You know, it's a long old lap here, and it does really drag on. And once we get to green flag racing, the laps will tick down fairly quickly. But a lot of time still to go here tonight. A lot can be lost or won in these in this race if you get it right.
100%. It's going to be interesting to see where Barry decides to run tonight. We've seen him running in that mid to high track those last couple of races, and it seemed to be working for him. Just wondering if we will see him back on the bottom feed tonight.
Around here, you want to be pretty low. You can sort of get away with running a little bit higher sometimes, but these corners are fairly sharp corners for an oval, because it is basically a giant rectangle. You know, it is very sharp corners, and as you said at the start of the hour, Mark, you know, they're very, very low banking as well. It's a really, really interesting oval that is not being replicated anywhere else, and that makes it very, very tricky indeed. And then you've got this start-finish straight where it is so very narrow as well. We often see incidents down there, and that can be a very painful one indeed. But the green flag's about to drop, and we're going to go back to live racing here at Indianapolis. We are at the Brickyard for the Thunder Series. Late start for Barry Neal. He gets away nicely.
Oh, Noddy Tompkins in the outside wall there. Just might be having a few little problems there with his sim. But a great race, great start for Barry Neal. Andrew Dyson right up his clapper. Bowen now starting to get a good run.
Neil's missed a corner. Neil's had a moment and he's dropped right down. He's managed to save it somehow and keep it on track. That was a big moment there for Barry Neal. I'll try and get a replay of that one in a moment, find out exactly what's happened. But he's managed to get that car composed and get it back on track and not lose too many spots.
And that's done something that we've not seen. And I hope I don't jinx him. Puts Bowen out in the race lead with Chris Island hot on his heels.
Absolutely, Shane Bowen up in the lead of the race. Just keep our eyes on this little battle quickly. There's lots of stuff happening now. Shane Bowen sets fastest lap of the race as well. We're seeing Andrew Dyson dropping down a little bit. He's battling it out with Gary Wellman. I'm just going to try and go back and find out what happened here to Barry Neal. So we just caught the edge of it. So it looks like he's gone into the corner. Did he get a little nerf there? Let's jump up to the blimp camera. So, did he get a little nudge there from Dyson? He did! Little nudge there in the back from Dyson sent him down low. And look at this. Neal carries the speed through that infield section just on pit exit and manages to hold pretty much the position. That is excellent driving from Barry Neal.
100%, Carl. It's, with the low banking, you normally see anyone get a touch like that facing the wrong way. So well done to Barry Neal. But up front, we still have Bowen with Island right behind him. Bowen's really done a great job here. Those two cars now have been able to jump out and get a just over a second on third place man.
That's it. They've broken the draft almost, and You can see here it's back on between Dyson and Neil, and I wonder if Barry Neil's going to hold that little nudge in his memory bank and just pay it back a little bit later in the race, because that was definitely a little nudge from Dyson into Neil, and well, drivers don't often forget things like that.
I know I haven't forgotten one.
I'm going to remain silent on this one and plead the fifth.
No, but look, great racing up front. You're 100% right, Carl. Those two cars out the front now have definitely broken away, and Andrew Dyson now in third place, not getting any help from the draft.
Gary Wellman heavily into the wall. We just caught that one. Looked like he had a bit of connection issue, and I know Gary's been having some connectivity issues the last few weeks, so unfortunate there for Gary Wellman. Good job for collecting it and not collecting anybody else, but a lot of damage on the left front of that car. And
he's just bleeding positions now.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a very long night for Wellman now. It's showing him as it comes down in 17th position now. So he's just had another little touch on the wall into one. So that car is going to be very, very uncomfortable to drive.
Yeah, that is a big shame. Gary was having a good run up there as well, so obviously some internet issues and things like that going awry for Gary Wellman, and that's the closest you can get to a real mechanical failure in sim racing, of course, when your connection fails or your computer catches fire or your cat steps on the power button. Those things are your mechanical DNFs in sim racing, or your mechanical issues, and unfortunately they do rear their ugly heads sometimes. But they're one of those things you can't really stop.
Good run so far from Matty Ray. Started down towards the back, and he's made his way up to 12th position. Just in front of him, Josh Mickelmore has seemed to have got a control on that car now, and just running there outside the 10. Dave Douglas sitting in 10th place. So he's going to be looking at moving forward fairly soon. But we've got kind of sort of 3 or 4 groups now where guys have started to split up.
Yeah, gaps starting to form. Parry Anastakis leading that last group. Then you go to Noddy Tompkins, Kate Donnelly, Stevie Dubb, Barry Neal, Jason Martin, and then Dyson, who's leading that group, but they're not gaining on the lead too by much. They've got about 1.7 second lead over the rest of the pack, Shane Bowen and Ireland, and they're chugging along nicely. Of course, what Ireland could do is go and side draft Bowen a little bit, try to get up by his side, slow him down to let Dyson catch up, but they seem pretty happy running where they are at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know if Ireland's got the pace there at the moment, because there's nearly half a second gap between Bowen and Ireland. So Bowen is definitely doing a great job here tonight.
Yeah, very much so. He's got some really good pace out here tonight. Has been absolutely on fire recently. I was in a race with Shane a week or so back in the trucks, and he took pole position by a fairly decent margin at Pocono. He's definitely got the speed, and that Cobalt team coming along nicely as well. A lot of very good quick drivers starting to work their way up on the oval side of things. They've got the road side covered, but the oval stuff is new for that team, and they are really improving every single race. The whole team's doing great jobs. You've got Ben Henniker down there, who's having a decent run in 17th position, but they're just able to gain so much knowledge and build on it every race. You can see them improving every time, and the racecraft, the driving, the speed, it's all coming together nicely. As we've got a bit of a move going on here, Stevie Dubb and Barry Neal.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Martin's been able to get past Dyson, and Now, Stevie Dubb has also been able to get past Neil, as you're saying. Some movers, and that second and third group now are starting to close up a little bit more too. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens when they get back together.
Just got a replay here of the 187. Derek Jacobs just having a bit of a moment off the corner, and it's just not quite working tonight for Derek, unfortunately. Hopefully we'll see him back with some pace next time out tonight. Not going all his way, unfortunately. But it is a tricky track, as we said, Indianapolis, especially in these cars, because you don't have any real aero support like you do in an Indy car or anything like that. You know, it's a very different style of racing. But this track's such low banking, such high speeds as well. It is a place that can really catch you out.
Yeah, it's an unusual place, Carl. As I said at the start, there's only 9 degrees of banking in the turns, but the other thing is there's only 9 degrees of banking down the back straight and the front straight. So it's very, very flat.
Get a bit of an idea of the speed here with Barry Neal riding on the nose of the Supra, and you know, really high speeds down this place, and you can see carrying it through the corner as well. But it is just such a challenge, this place, Mark.
Yeah, 100% right. And what you find is where Barry is now, as you can see, I think it's Williams there in front. The car just wants to break loose mid-corner. And sorry, I just started listening to some chat in the background from the drivers. You can see here, Williams drives in, and you can see just that rear end just not settling down. It's definitely not a happy car there, where Neil just seems to be able to drive that in and keep the pace through.
Yeah, the back end is really, really struggling there, and just get an idea of the speed up the front. Gap is starting to close a little bit too, as Jason Martin starts to close the gap on Christopher Island, and you can see there visibly just how much that gap has shrunk since we last looked at it. We also got Noddy Tompkins, I think, coming into the lane, so that did not go how Noddy wanted it to. Let's just rewind that, just get a bit of a better look there. Just coming in, just snatches a break, I think, and snatches the rear a little bit too much, and into the wall she goes. So that's not ideal for Noddy and his quick pit stop there. But we're lap 20 right here, and I was just wondering if Noddy Tompkins coming in, if that was going to be his scheduled stop. So looked like he took a little bit of damage though, so maybe he had to come into the lane.
Yeah, and this battle up front is now almost back to 4 cars, with Bowen, Island, Martin and Dyson. Stevie Williams is still hanging in there. He'd be at the end of the draft, so if Williams can close this up, we're going to have a 7-car battle up front, and then the group second group.
Yeah, apparently ANZCAR still leading that group, about 3 seconds back from Cade Donnelly, who's just at the back with Barry Neal at the moment, and that's that second group you're talking about with Stevie Dubb too. So
sorry, mate. Martin stuck his nose out then to have a look at Ireland coming into turn 3. So this battle now back up front is starting to heat up. Martin's got warmth in those tyres, and he's starting to really put some pressure again on second place Ireland.
Looks like Ireland's also putting pressure on Bowen.
Urquio in the background is into the wall.
Oh, heavy impact there. But we'll go back to the front, because we've just had a change for the lead. because Chris Irons has just got past Shane Bowen. Jason Martin about to make a move as well, seeing if he can get underneath Bowen here. All change up at the front though. All of a sudden everything has started shaking itself out. We'll try go back and catch that Urquio moment once we have a bit of a breather up the front here from overtakes, because now Andrew Dyson is making a move on Jason Martin, moves himself up into third position. The battle for the top 4 positions at the moment is really on, and they're slowing each other down nicely for Stevie Dub up to catch up to them as well.
Yeah, that's definitely what that Williams and Neil would want to see these guys battle, because it has allowed them to get back in touch a little bit closer. So it's looks like it's settled down again now. Ireland's been able to just put a little bit of a half-second gap on Bowen. And Bowen there just touches the wall coming out of turn 1.
He's got up high, looks like he's just struggling a little bit for front end grip now, Shane Bowen, and this is something they definitely need to work on a little bit, and have been working on, is just preserving the front tyres, keeping them alive, and that's a skill all into itself. It takes a long time to learn and even longer time to master that one, but once you do, you start getting speed like these guys up at the front. We saw the replay there of Lachlan Urquio clipping the wall, and that might be race run for Lachlan Urquio. He had to bring it into the lane because it looked like he broke one of the steering arms too. So that is the end of almost the end of a woeful night for Lockie Urquio here at the Brickyard. Shame to see. Stevie Dub though has just made a move on Shane Bowen. We said those group was catching up, and they have caught up fast. Bowen just plummeting down the order at the moment, really struggling in that car. Got too much heat in those tyres. They've worn down to the point that they just do not want to work. Stevie Dub really up high, just gives the wall a little rub there. And this battle is very much heating up. Almost 3 wide there with Stevie Dub. Shane Bowen managing to get his position back. Stevie Dub is always up into the wall. He just gives the wall a big old rub there as the tyres have just completely fallen off there for the 98. Meanwhile, up the front, it is still Ireland, Dyson and Martin. This group has managed to break away from the secondary pack of Bowen, Donnelly, Neil and Williams. Meanwhile, Micklemore now leads the third little breakaway group. That's with Parry Anastakis and Dave Douglas there. They are, well, they're getting pretty racy here, and it is getting definitely... It's already a bit hot here at Indianapolis, but it is heating up.
Yeah, 100% right. There's some, as I said earlier, we've got our cautions out of the way, and it's definitely starting to heat up. Again, we can see back up front now, Martin getting a good run on Dyson. So it's going to be a great race to the end if we stay green, because we will need a green flag pit stop.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be one of those that's going to be a crucial pit stop. If it remains green as well, this could be a really important pit stop, because as we said, you can lose a lot of time down the lane here, and you can gain a fair bit of time too on those fresh tyres. You're going to be gaining about 2 seconds on the pack on those fresh tyres. So the overcut is strong, but if you come in a little bit later and you've got fresh tyres to the end, that could be a real advantage if you can close that gap. So there's a lot of different strategies that will play out here, but what I expect we'll see is somebody coming in from the top 10. They're going to pull the pin on that grenade, and then we're going to see the whole rest of the field come in, because they do not want to be dropped down don't want to be gapped by that much.
100% right, Carl. What you'll find is if Dyson, Ireland or Dyson comes in, the rest of them will follow. But it's a hard one, because you want to stay with those guys in front. So it's just a matter of hurry up and wait.
Absolutely. Ben Henniker there, the last car in a train. The last car out on track at the moment is Gary Wellman, having a woeful night, unfortunately, due to some connection issues. But we have got still 17 cars in this race. I think Lockie Ekberg may have pulled it behind the wall with Noddy Tompkins, Aidan Schultz and Derek Jacobs, Joshua Carroll-Walden and Maxi Marshall. We lost quite a few cars early on in this race after a lap 1 caution, and then it had a follow-up caution on the restart, causing quite a few cars to remain quite damaged and out of this race, unfortunately. And we've got our first pit stop happening, I reckon. Riley Curtis in the lane on lap 28. Here, he's coming in. Is it for just a full service and exit? Is this going to be the first car to stop and try and take advantage of the undercut? It is. So Riley Curtis pulls out in his A1 Mustang, and he's going to be crucially just ahead of the leaders. So if a caution flag does fly, he won't be in a compromised position. See the leaders just getting past there. Riley Curtis is just going to come out now, and the pace on these fresh tyres is going to be interesting, because this group of drivers, this big pack of cars, is going to see how much pace fresh tyres have now, as Riley Curtis will try and battle his way up through this pack and gain quite a bit of time on those cars that are still out there. Although it looks like he may have got himself a penalty. That is really unfortunate for Riley Curtis.
Yeah, this is definitely one place where you come into that pit lane, and unless you can get the timing right, you do get caught out by that yellow cone, and it's only got to just get your nose over past that yellow cone, and you'll get a speeding infringement.
Yeah, it's so easy to do, and of course, coming in and the brake's not fully hot sometimes, and that can really cost you quite a lot of time, and so easy to lock up a brake or just be that minuscule bit too late. You've got to do a lot of practice to get this one right. Josh Micklemore, though, he's coming in, he locks them up. That's exactly what I was talking about. Locks up the brakes, locks up the rears there as well. Did he get it slowed down in time? Did he get himself a penalty? We will find out soon, and we'll keep an eye out on that one, as Riley Curtis is back out on track after serving a penalty, and a bit of a woeful night now for Riley Curtis, who is going to be struggling down there. So the big question is how long can they go on fuel as well? That's going to be a big point. We've got a couple of cars out there that came in for some splash and dashes and got some extra fuel in those caution periods. The highest one at the moment is Double D, Dave Douglas, who's looking for a win in his life at the moment. But he is up there in 8th position. And he just gives that wall a little nudge there. But he's got about 5 seconds worth of fuel in that car. So he's got a couple of extra, maybe a lap or two extra over the leaders, you got to say. So he might just try and extend it and just hope for a lucky caution here. Chris Ireland, he's been running right up the front with Shane Bowen. So both of those cars will be relatively, I imagine they'll have used a little bit more fuel than some of the rest behind. So there's a few different things at play. We've got Barry Neal, who's starting to work his way back up through the pack. He just got past Shane Bowen. Barry sort of eased off at the beginning of the race, And it's now starting to climb up as Jason Martin is the first of the leaders to come into the lane. We saw his teammate Josh Micklemore in the lane on the previous lap. But right now, Jason Martin pulls it into the pit lane for the first green flag stop of the lead pack.
Just been keeping an eye on Ruben Phelps' car. He's been down pit lane early and just grabbed a splash. But I can tell you what, those rear tyres are not looking real good. Coming out of turn 4, he's getting very crossed up. So I'll be keeping an eye on him for when he comes in the pit lane. He's probably the biggest mover in the field. He's actually up. He started in 21st and now up running 9th.
Yeah, the back end is definitely stepping out, but he's keeping it going at the moment, keeping some good pace. We've got Dyson, Neil, Donnelly, and Williams into the lane. So, crucial pit stops here for the leaders. Can they get back out in front of Jason Martin, who's currently out on track, down in 14th position after taking his stop?
And he's just coming into turn 3, as you can see there on the live pictures. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can actually get past these guys in pit lane at the moment.
Crucially, he's come out with his teammate Josh Micklemore. That early stop just shows you how much time he's gained, because Micklemore has jumped a whole heap of positions. Let us go to Andrew Dyson now, who's coming back out on track. Jason Martin just behind him. They are starting to close in. Past Barry Neal they go. Will they be able to get up past Andrew Dyson, who's just up in front still? Dyson's just going to get back out on track, but he's not going to be up to speed just yet. It's going to be Jason Martin chasing him down at the moment. And this has really split up the front pack as Christopher Ireland has come into the lane. Shane Bowen doing a great job. He's managed to keep a lot of fuel in reserve, it seems. He's still running up there in the lead now. He's got back up into the lead. So good job from him and Parry Anastakis. So there's a few drivers that have just gone an extra lap or two. Dave Douglas is sitting up in second at the moment. Remember, he came down for a quick splash and dash, so he's got a little bit more fuel than the rest of the field. Will we see Bowen pulling it in now? No, sticking it out for another lap here. Bowen doing a great job on the fuel and taking it that a little bit longer. Anastakis is coming into the lane. So that is all but our leader taken into the lane and had their pit stops. Meanwhile, Jason Martin has managed to jump Christopher Ireland. So Dyson has jumped Ireland as well. So these lead three cars are now in a battle once more, but it's a very broken up as Andrew Dyson's got a nice gap ahead of him that he is trying to manage at the moment. Shane Bowen still out on track at the moment. Will he pull it into the lane this time? Back end really struggling for grip there for the 308 Cobalt Racing entry. So really not an easy car to drive at the moment, but he is bringing it into the lane. So we now know you can go 36 laps if you've got a couple of cautions in between them. So we'll give or take about 2 to 3 laps for the caution. So about 33 laps to get for a tank by the looks of things, which means that they should all have to stop one more time, Mark.
Yeah, 100% right. But look who's inherited the race lead. DD in that number 10 car.
Absolutely up in the lead of the race, and that extra pit stop definitely helped. And well, you got Ruben Phelps up there as well. He had that little bit of extra fuel, and of course Mr. Matty Ray, he has worked his way up there nicely. Ben Henniker too. So they're in some good spots at the moment, and if their caution came out, they would be in prime position because they would be able to come in, get fresh tyres, get fuel, and not lose too much time, get back out in the pack, and well, the rest of the pack will have had some worn tyres, so they're in a really good position if we do get a caution. of just extending these stints to give himself the ability to try something different. I don't think they'll be able to make it home on one more stop, but they will be able to really shorten that final stop if they do.
Bowen now back out on track.
And how many positions did Shane Bowen lose because of staying out? Well, 12 positions pretty much. He has dropped right down. He's just behind Stevie Dubb, but he has lost a whole heap of positions. Remember, Ben Henniker, Matty Ray, Ruben Phelps and Dave Douglas are still out there yet needing a stop, but that has cost him a lot of time sticking it out there. But now he has fresh tyres. He'll be able to close the gap on these people and on the rest of the field and sort of see what he can do. They're currently the leaders are about 4 seconds off the pace of the fresh tyre guys. You know, that just shows the difference in pace here. It is a fairly big margin between them, but right now they're in a good spot to just really try something different, roll the dice a little bit, and that could be fascinating to see. It'll be interesting to see what they can do in this race now.
So we should see those guys that haven't stopped been down for a full service in the lane in the next 4 laps. Dave Douglas now on 32 laps of fuel. So it's going to be interesting to see if Dave can actually stretch his stint out any longer.
Yeah, if he can extend it by... Ooh, yeah, we need about... we need to go about 8 laps in this stint to really get it so he can get home, I think. It's going to be hard. I don't think they can do it, but they can get themselves with a cheeky stop, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky one, isn't it, Mark? I mean, it's one of those things that if a caution comes, they're going to be in a really good position, but they don't think they can make it home with one more stop, so they're going to have to make a secondary stop. But what it means is they can really go hard on the tyres in the next stint and really go for it. So there could be some advantages here. It could well pay off, but we'll wait and see how this one goes. As well, the field's settled down a bit after the stops. Everybody's a bit spread out, you got to say, and it's now into a strategy race.
Just looking at the last lap for Dave Douglas, 57.3, where those guys on those fresh tyres are 2 seconds quicker. Well, Jason Martin did a 54.9, Andrew Dyson a 55.2. So Dave and those front runners are bleeding time.
Yeah, absolutely. They are bleeding time, but they will get some of that back once they get on fresh tyres themselves. We're seeing Shane Bowen, remember, he stayed out longer than everybody else. He's lapping a good 3 to 4 tenths faster than the cars in front of him. He's currently setting the pace at the moment. 54.7 was his last lap. So they will get that time back, of course, once they change to their tyres, because all of these drivers will be on old tyres. They'll be on fresh tyres and they'll close the gap more. It's just whether they can extend it to make it to the end on the field they've got. If they can... Dave Douglas really needs to extend it about 2 more laps here, and he has a chance of making it to the end of the race. Ideally, he needs 3 laps. If he can extend it for 3 laps, there is a chance he can make it on 1 more stop. And if that's the case, Douglas is going to be in the prize seat if we don't get a caution. Let's jump on board here with Dave Douglas and get an idea of what he's up to, because if he's doing some heavy lifting and coasting, then he's in full fuel save mode. It's not sounding or looking like it at the moment, Mark. He's definitely not taking it to the extremes, but he's not nursing it, is he?
No, definitely not. He is lifting a little bit more than he probably would, but that could be because of the tyre wear too. So just have to wait and see. He's now out to 36 laps on this stint, so coming across now to do complete 37 if he goes past pit lane entry, and it looks like bit of a trick. He's probably watching the stream as he's driving. So now, excuse me, out to 37 laps on this stint.
Is it time we should mention the state of origin, Mark? See if he is listening, because I reckon he'll crash if we start talking about that.
Oh, the thing, there's a few Queenslanders nursing sore heads today.
Yeah, I can imagine that there's nothing worse than losing, is there? Really, when your favoured team loses, I'm sure that we're going to get many people going, haha, but the English lost in the Euros and whatnot, and I'll just be like, well, I don't care about football, but anyway, we are back on. So if Dave Douglas can make it another lap here, he'll be good, but I think he is pulling it into the lane. And Douglas, the final car to stop, pulls it into the lane on lap 44 of 80. 45 once he crosses the line. So, I don't know, it's tantalisingly close, but I do feel it's a bridge too far to make it to the end of the race without any cautions to aid. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Now, as we were watching the pit stops unfold, we had... we've had the battles going on here for the positions, and it's been fairly sublime up front. There's not been too much action, has there, Mark? They're not really chopping and changing at the moment, but they are closing in on Andrew Dyson. So it feels like this little group of cars led by Jason Martin is just working their way up to close the gap to Dyson to keep themselves in check.
Yeah, I'm just watching. Dave Douglas has completed his service now, and he's on his way back out. That's unfortunately it's dropped him down to 12th position. So yeah, it's going to be a big ask for him to get back up. But again, as you said, Carl, he only needs to stop again for a quick splash if he's game enough to stay on that set of tyres.
Yeah, I think the tyre drop-off is too hard to go back out on those tyres, unless he just needs the extra bit of fuel to make it to the line. You've got to say fresh set of tyres would be needed, because you're going to lose about 2 to 3 seconds a lap on the car behind. So unless you can get out with like a 10-second gap with a lap or two to go, you're going to have to change tyres to really make the position for the victory, you've got to say. But he could well find himself for a decent top 5 finish or even top 10 finish with a splash and dash at the end. It might work out, but we'll see how that one unfolds. Lap 46 of 80 here. We have 34 laps remaining tonight, and well, we've had an action-packed start of the race. We saw the caution flag out early doors in the beginning of the race, as we had an incident in the first corner between I think it was Joshua Carroll Walden and Josh Micklemore. We'll jump to that replay. We'll jump to the replay of the offending incident, and I'll have to fast forward a little bit to get there. But this was at the start of the race. As we said, 3 into 1 does not go sometimes. 3 into 3 definitely didn't go tonight, as we saw Ireland and JCW make contact, and that saw JCW out of the race. And that also had the little secondary contact between Urquio, Micklemore and Maxi Marshall. That was our first caution. Then the second caution was... I'm trying to think now. It was Lachlan Urquio, I think, and Aidan Schultz making a little bit of contact early on in the restart, and that saw the second caution for the night and a heavy impact for Riley Curtis and Brad Finley. But back to live pictures now, and up the front it is still Dyson, Martin, Neil, Ireland and Donnelly, our top 5 as it stands.
We've seen some great racing tonight. Shane Bowen now back up in the 7th position. Josh Micklemore just dropped down to 8th. Norman Clark inside the top 10, and that car, Brad Fenley, the car number 20 VB car, rounding out the top 10. So good recovery from Fenley there. And unfortunately, as you were saying, Carl, we've lost Urquhart, Thompson, Schultz, Jacobs, JCW and Maxi Marshall. Real shame for Maxi. He's not around all that much, but when he does get out and he can get a clean race, he does put in some good effort and does get inside the top 10 a fair bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And, as you said, one of those drivers that doesn't get out too much, unfortunately. There's a few of us out there that are in that boat, but always nice to see when they do get out there and have a good run. Unfortunately, as you as well know, Mark, sometimes you have your only run and it doesn't go all that well.
No, definitely not.
Worst one's when one of your so-called friends and co-commentators takes you out of a race or something like that. That would be terrible to happen.
Yeah, we won't go there.
Seeing Andrew Dyson just get past Gary Wellman, putting him down a lap right here. And Gary Wellman still circulating. Quite a bit of damage on that 45 car. Had some connection issues and ended up clipping the wall. Riley Curtis has just made a second stop here, by the looks of things. Yes, he has indeed. Is down a lap but got caught speeding, so had to serve a penalty, unfortunately. But seeing what Riley can do in this race now, as he's got the freshest tyres out there and is going to see if he can gain any positions back from this run to the flag. We're expecting everybody to need to make at least one more green flag stop here to get to the end. There is a possibility that Dave Douglas might be able to sneak it to the line, but that's the only car that we really think would be capable of making it to the end of the race on this tank of fuel, but it is going to be very tight indeed.
Carl, we know Dave Douglas, if there's a chance, he'll definitely take that chance. I've seen him, I think it was last week, run out of fuel as he crossed the line at Pocono. Or he come out of turn 3.
Yeah, that is right. It was a big fuel save at Pocono. I thought you were going to say, we know Dave Douglas, he's a bit of a spendthrift. He's not going to spend too much on fuel for a race. But no, absolutely. Very frugal driving could well pay off tonight for Double D. Just needs to get it to the line to make it absolutely work. And is this man, Andrew Dyson, up in the lead. But this fellow championship contender, Barry Neal, trying to get past Christopher Ireland at the moment. And this fight is going on. Barry Neal moved himself up into second in the championship points mark after that win at Pocono.
Yeah, great win for Neal last week. And he'd definitely like to repeat that win here at Indy. So it's not over yet. There could be a caution, and if there is one now, we'll see all these cars back in the pit lane take fresh rubber, and then it'll be a sprint race to the end.
Yeah, absolutely. That will be all about that pace and who can take advantage of it, and that's going to be that could well be how this race runs out. Although we haven't seen any. The field's fairly spread out, and they are relatively close together, but there's enough gap between them where nobody's making silly moves at the moment. So chances of a caution are pretty low, you've got to say.
Yeah, very very slim chance of a caution. It's only if someone has a lack of concentration and just gets caught out by either the heat in the tyres or worn tyres that we probably see someone around.
Oh, we saw Kay Donnelly there just having a big tail wiggle onto the front straight. That is it, Mark. It just takes one momentary lapse of concentration and you're going to find yourself with a very, very expensive repair bill as you go into the safer barriers here at Indianapolis. It is always looming, of course, that accident. So they have to keep themselves switched on, but you've got to say probably less chance of a caution now than there was at the start of the race. So we are seeing some action out on track though, as Anastakis and Finley are battling it out. Mr. Fenoli, as our crew chiefs like to say, is fighting it out with Parry Anastakis, who's returned to the series after a bit of a hiatus, but nice to see the 144 back on our screens. Donnelly as the first of the leaders to pull it into the lane, so our second round of green flag stops will be coming very, very shortly. So this is going to be interesting to see who comes in early doors and who sticks it out. So we've got Fenley and Donnelly in the lane. Which of our leaders will choose to do that as Christopher Ireland makes a move, gets past Jason Martin here up into second place. Ireland definitely got some speed around this Indianapolis circuit, has some confidence as well. Passing Jason Martin at Indy is never an easy feat, as he is very, very quick at this track. The leaders will be keeping an eye on looking at their timing and seeing who comes in next and what lap times are being like as well, as they try and work out their run to the flag here. So there's plenty of stuff to work out here. Oh, Ireland up into the wall, gives it a fairly hefty whack. It's going to cost some momentum to the DPR driver, but he has managed to stick it just ahead of Jason Martin for the time being. They are in a fairly good position, but Christopher Ireland cannot afford to make too many of those mistakes. Meanwhile, Dave Douglas has just caught up to Parry Anastakis now and is starting to make some headway forwards. Ruben Phelps up in front of him too, starting to close the gaps a little bit. Still about 30 odd seconds back off the leaders, but they are starting to close in. As Micklemore, I think, has come into the lane. So we saw last time that was the precursor to Jason Martin pulling it in. Will we see Martin pulling it in this time round as they are getting towards their final green flag stop here? Martin sticks it out. Ireland and Neil come in. So they are going to take advantage of that undercut. Dyson will be watching this one closely. Will he pull it in this lap so he doesn't lose too much time? He had a little bit of a gap, but he needs to keep that gap there.
Now, Shane Bowen is in pit lane too. So he's decided to align himself with Neil and Ireland. So let's see how that works out for him.
That could well jump him right back up the order here if some other people stick it out longer. We saw Bowen keep it out much longer than the rest of the group as well last time. So I was surprised a little bit to see him in so early. but he obviously wants to try and close that gap a little bit. Feels like it was a mistake sticking it out. Dyson is in the lane now, and that leaves Jason Martin out on track, not making his stop. So Martin's going to take it longer here and just hope for having fresher tyres towards the end to really take advantage of the pace. You can see the pace deficit here because his teammate Josh Mickelmore is just going to sail past him on those fresh tyres. So when does Martin pull it in? Stays out another lap. So Martin taking it long here. That's interesting to see. Stevie Dubb as well sticking it out with Ruben Phelps, of course, Dave Douglas, Maddie Ray. So they all had a little bit of an extra stint. They've only done 15 odd laps to this group. 14 laps for Dave Douglas. Martin and Williams 27 laps and 26 laps, so they're really sticking it out long here, possibly hoping for a caution or just hoping that when they come back out on those fresh tyres they can close that gap up and pass.
Yeah, but the problem with that Carl, is that when do you do it? You can't wait too long, otherwise you're not going to get the benefit of those tyres. We're now on lap 60. I would say they'd have to do it in the next 5 laps if they're going to want to chase down the gaps in front.
Yeah, Martin is listening to you, Mark, because he pulls it into the lane. So he's going to have lost a lot of time by sticking it out there, but can he close it up? That's going to be the question. It is going to be... it's going to be a bit of a race to the end. There's so many different options, so many different strategies here. This could really shake things up and make for an interesting run to the flag.
Yeah, definitely right. As Stevie Dubb now takes the race lead, and he'll get a bonus point if he crosses the start-finish line for leading the race.
Yeah, those bonus points always useful to have up your sleeve as well, because an extra point is an extra point. So always nice to get those little extras. As Stevie Dubb is actually going to be pulling it into the lane here, and that's going to leave Ruben Phelps to try and capture that bonus point. So we've got a battle for the lead here because Dave Douglas and Ruben Phelps are battling it out on track. Douglas on 1 lap fresher tyres and well, a little bit of a little bit more fuel, you've got to say. So that's going to be interesting to see if he can get his way past Ruben Phelps, if he needs to keep up that pace, and how long these two stick it out as well, because they can stick it out for a fair amount more time here. Dave Douglas, we think possibly it's not going to be easy, but there's a slim chance that he might be able to possibly think of making the finish on this tank of gas. But with the speed he's carrying and the fact he is not slowing down at all and not happy to sit behind Ruben Phelps, it looks like Dave Douglas is on the push at the moment and racing hard here up the front. Andrew Dyson remains the car in the lead position of this group at the moment. He is just ahead of Christopher Ireland. So this group has about 12 seconds to make up on the leaders, Ruben Phelps and Dave Douglas. They will do that very quickly indeed. They're about 1.5 seconds a lap faster than those cars ahead. And it won't be long until Douglas and Phelps find themselves getting passed by this lead group and falling down the positions. with that long stint not quite working in their favour, unless we get a caution soon, Mark. A caution would really shake things up here tonight.
Yeah, definitely right. I just done some figures. If Dave Douglas, if we don't get a caution or anything, Dave Douglas could make it home on this fuel, but he may fall a lap short.
Mm-hmm. No, that's what I was sort of thinking. It would be about a lap and a half that he would need to sort of really get home, and that is a long old lap at Indianapolis, Mark. It is a lot of fuel that you need in reserve. You see Ruben Phelps just taking the IndyCar line there, but they're also hemorrhaging so much time that they're losing a fair amount per lap. Last time round, Dave Douglas at 56.4, not a bad lap at all, but behind him, Andrew Dyson at 54.6. So, you know, they are so much faster, these cars behind. It won't be long until we see them looming into the picture. And that group is led by Andrew Dyson, Christopher Island, Barry Neal. Jason Martin's dropped down to 9th position after staying out that bit longer, but he is working his way up through the field. He's just caught up to the Matty Ray here and is going to go sailing past the SRM driver, who is about 21 laps into this stint. But Martin is one of the fastest cars on track at the moment. So he is definitely closing in on this group up ahead. Can he close back up to the leaders, or will fighting his way through this pack prove too much? It's a bit of a different strategy from Jason Martin, and I don't think it's going to pay off too well, in all honesty, so we'll see how that one turns out. Meanwhile, the gap up ahead is it's down to about 5 seconds to Ruben Phelps, to Andrew Dyson. You can see them just in the same shot there pretty much, but Dyson is closing down on the lead two now, who have yet to make their final stop. As we said, we think they might be about a lap or two shy of making it to the end, so they are out there praying for a caution right now.
Well, I can tell you, Dave Douglas is not lifting. He's still up around the 7,000 RPM through the turns, mid-turn, and he's back on it fairly early coming out. So he obviously feels pretty confident he can make it to the end on this fuel.
Yeah, Dave Douglas setting some good pace actually. He's about... wait till Ruben crosses the line. Yeah, he's about a second a lap faster than Ruben Phelps at the moment. So he is gapping Ruben, who is just not able to keep up that speed. So with that pace, Douglas could be able just about to keep himself ahead of some of the leaders. Maybe not for the ultimate win, but possibly for a good position. Meanwhile, Jason Martin's just made it past Cade Donnelly. He's now on the tail of Shane Bowen, and Martin is absolutely scything his way through the field as he moves himself back up into 6th position now and chases down championship rival Barry Neal, who's up ahead of him. Of course, those two are chasing down Andrew Dyson, who's about 28 points, I think, ahead of Barry Neal at the moment. So they really would love to see a caution come out to close up the field, and possibly that caution being Andrew Dyson into the wall, not able to finish the race, because Dyson at the moment is doing a fantastic job in this championship. And speaking of positions and Dyson, he's just getting past Ruben Phelps now as he moves his way up to P2, as Dave Douglas is up ahead. Sorry, I thought Dave Douglas was on the infield there. It was Riley Curtis, his teammate, just coming out of the pit lane. Dave Douglas still in the lead by 4.6 seconds. So Dyson has to close this gap up. Can Douglas make it to the end? If he can, he could possibly find himself just in a position to take this one, or at least take a good top 5 finish. So it is going to be crucial these next few laps Can Jason Martin close a 6-second gap to Barry Neal here? That is another race we have going on, as Ruben Phelps brings it into the lane, and he's made a pig's ear of that one. Cade Donnelly as well bringing it in too. Ruben just made it past the cone, locking up, so he should be okay. So hopefully did not get a penalty from that one. Cade Donnelly as well bringing it into the lane. Not sure why Cade Donnelly's pitting, Mark. He wrecks, so Cade Donnelly out of this race. So something must have happened to Cade Donnelly there.
Yeah, I don't know. He definitely has to pit after that one, though.
Yeah, wondering if reality has called and he's had to jump up out from the rig quickly. Really unfortunate for Cade Donnelly there, but he managed to get it to the lane at least, so no caution flag caused by it. Up front, Dave Douglas has got his teammate Riley Curtis behind him, and this could be crucial. Riley is a lap down. He's 3 laps down actually, but he could very easily sit behind Dave Douglas here and act as a bit of a shield to Douglas for the next 10 laps. If he can keep Dyson off of Douglas's tail, and Douglas can make it to the line on this tank of gas, he could be in for a victory tonight.
Yeah, 100% correct. Excuse me. And look, I know it's not the best thing, but you don't have to move aside. That's the beauty of stock car racing, is that you can just
Douglas in the lane. Oh no, that's Riley in the lane. Sorry. The two cars, they got alternate paint jobs. Sorry, that is Riley Curtis pitting, so that takes that out the equation, Mark.
And Dave Douglas just touches the wall there into turn 1.
2 seconds the gap. We've got 10 laps remaining. Last time round about 0.5 of a second quicker, so in about 4 or 5 laps Dyson will be up on Douglas's tail. A little bit further back, Jason Martin is closing on Barry Neal, but not by enough, you've got to say. So the race really is going to be up here at the front between Christopher Ireland, Andrew Dyson and Dave Douglas. Can Douglas make it to the end?
As I said, I was riding on board with Dave for a few laps there. He's definitely not saving it. He's staying into it in the turn. So he obviously feels fairly confident that he can get home on this tank. But as you said, Dyson closing in now down to a 1.5 second gap behind Douglas. So you've got to say that Dyson should take the race lead before the laps run out, as we now have 8 laps left.
Yeah, it is quickly coming to that point of the race. We're riding on board here with Andrew Dyson, just to give you a bit of an idea of what it's like chasing down Dave Douglas and just how good Dyson is on the exit. If you're looking out the right side of the car, yes, he was that close to the wall, and he does it every single lap. He is very, very good at taking advantage of the whole track and using the width of it to give him speed, and that's part of the reason he is so very fast. You can just hear a little tiny scrape of the wall there for Dyson as he comes into the corner. That's nothing to worry about. That's not going to slow you down. That is just speed. As he closes in on Dave Douglas here, 8 to go, and this is the battle for the lead.
Look, it's we can say that he's closing in, but it's one thing catching him. Dave will make that Mustang very wide, and he gets very sideways out of turn 4. That is it. I'd say Douglas is done. He will lose the race lead on this lap, if not the next lap for sure, because those tyres are done.
Yeah, you can see the back end really sliding out wide. Douglas almost driving it like a sprint car at the moment on dirt. He is absolutely slipping it round the corner and keeping that car up, but that's losing in momentum, and this is going to be the chance for Andrew Dyson to make the move. Can he get the run on the straight? Not quite. Going to get very, very close here in the mid corner, but watch the exit. The exit's where Dyson is going to have the speed advantage over Douglas, and I imagine we're going to see the pass down the start finish straight. But Douglas still in a good position to earn a whole heap of points here tonight if he can make it to the end. Douglas just that little bit wide. There's a little bit of contact there. They just go side by side. And as predicted, down the front straight, it is Dyson taking the lead from Dave Douglas.
Now the next thing is that we've got just over a second back to Ireland. Can Ireland catch Douglas and take second place away from him with 5 laps to go?
Yeah, Ireland is closing in, but I think the main thing, Ireland I reckon will get Dave, but Barry Neal a little bit further back as well. So Dave Douglas could well find himself on the podium here if he can make it on fuel. And that's going to be the crucial part. And he's not dropping too far off of Dyson either. He's still got some really good pace in that car. Despite being 30 laps into the stint on tyres, Douglas has done a great job of keeping the car alive. The back end is very lively indeed, but he is keeping pace in it, which is crucial. Jason Martin, you can see there the gap closing as well. He's trying to make 3 seconds, about 2 and a bit seconds on Barry Neal as well. So Martin, it's possible that he could catch up to that group, but it's going to be very, very much dash to the finish line, I'd say, as they all catch each other pretty much with 1 or 2 laps remaining. Pretty much, I reckon on the white flag lap, they're all going to catch each other. It's that sort of timing we're getting at the moment. As we are getting closer and closer to the finish of the race, Christopher Ireland is getting closer and closer to this man, Double D, Dave Douglas, in the A1 Sim Sports casting couch entry. He is getting under pressure very, very much. Little tap of the wall there as Ireland is going to close the gap, and well, it's a matter of when, not if, Ireland gets that position. And watch on the exits as well. Ireland's going to have so much more grip underneath him. He'll be able to get his foot down a little bit earlier, and that is just going to allow him to sail past Dave Douglas once he gets on the straight. Again, you can see that big tail wiggle. Look how quickly Ireland gets sucked up behind Dave Douglas. Ireland's going to be carrying a couple more miles per hour down the straight. Can he get down underneath him for turn 1? He can indeed. And Christopher Ireland up into second place. Dave Douglas moving down to third, but it is not over by a long shot. He's still on for a podium here because Barry Neal is about 2 and a bit seconds back from him. So the race is still on for these positions, you've got to say, but it is going to be very close at the start, at the finish, at the start line, I should say.
We knew what you meant, mate.
I'm glad somebody did. Looking inside the top 10, Brad Finley up in 10th position. He has Ben Henniker trying to close down on him. Norman Clark, a solid but quiet night for him, up in 9th position. A good strong top 10 finish. Josh Micklemore up in 8th spot. He will be a bit disappointed with that, I'm sure. Shane Bowen is closing in on Stevie Dubb. So this could be a last line dash for these two as well. A good race for both of them. Just inside the top 10 as well. Jason Martin in 5th position, losing a little bit of pace, and that staying out really did not help him. He lost a lot of positions due to it and has fallen down to 5th, unfortunately. Barry Neal keeping himself ahead of Jason Martin, and that's crucial for his championship hopes. Dave Douglas still up there in third position with Christopher Ireland, and of course our race leader Andrew Dyson. This is the car I want to watch though, is the number 10 Dave Douglas, because does it have fuel to make it to the end? That is going to be crucial. We've got 2 laps remaining, Mark. We are very quickly going to find out if this number 10 can make it to the line, or will it stutter and stop somewhere out in the Indianapolis countryside.
So white flag is out. So as you see, Carl, the big question is, can Dave Douglas make it home? One more lap, 2.5 miles.
And it's looking like he's still got the pace at the moment. It's not dramatically slowing down or anything like that I can see, Mark.
No, 100% correct. But a great race run by Dyson, who will take another win here in the X-Finity class. Christopher Island, great race for him. That gives DPR 1 and 2. And the Dave Douglas, I would say he's now got the third place wrapped up, coming out of turn 4, back down the main straight.
As we see, Andrew Dyson taking the line, and Dave Douglas does indeed make it home third on the, well, 2-stop strategy, but a very different way round 2-stop strategy. Great job from him, but it is this man, Andrew Dyson, taking victory here tonight at Indianapolis.
And again, it looks like Dave Douglas is out of fuel, because he's getting a helping hand from Barry Neal down the back straight. So again, another tight finish for DD. We seen it last week at Pocono. A man that likes to live things on the edge.
Absolutely, and getting the helping hand that he needs from this man, Barry Neal. Good job from him, keeping it up in the top 5 tonight. And that's going to keep the championship up in the air. But it is this man, Dyson, takes victory here tonight and has to try and do the burnout in a very, very tight bit of the track. Can he do it without scratching the paint? That's going to be the big question.
And the answer is no.
Let us bring up the results as we see Dyson celebrating here a well-deserved victory at Indianapolis. So it was Andrew Dyson taking victory ahead of Christopher Ireland, the 2 TBR cars up there in the top 2. Dave Douglas in third, fantastic job for him with the long stint. Barry Neal comes home in 4th position with Jason Martin 5th. 6th for Stevie Dubb, 3 of the DPR cars up in the top 10. Great job for them. Shane Bowen, a fantastic result in 7th as well. Good race for him, showed some really good race pace. Josh Micklemore in 8th, Norman Clark 9th, and Ruben Phelps manages to get it into the top 10 on the last lap, taking past Brad Finlay, who finishes in 11th. Ben Henniker in 12th position. 13th, Parry Anastakis. 14th for Maddie Ray. Riley Curtis 15th. 16th for Kate Donnelly. Gary Wellman 17th. 18th for Erquio Tompkins 19th. Schultz 20th. Jacobs 21st. Carol Walden 22nd after early incident with Maxi Marshall 23rd. And Zach Mitchell, don't think made the grid. So all in all, a decent race for a lot of people out there tonight.
Yeah, great race for the 2 DPR cars. Barry Neal definitely would have liked to close that points gap, but nevertheless, it is what it is. Some great racing that we've had here tonight on the big 2.5 oval. So it's great to see. Big change next week to Nashville Fairgrounds. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle back to the smaller track.
Yeah, absolutely. Very different little track, that one. Back to true short track racing, and that's really going to change up who we see up in the top steps of the podium. Of course, we have more action next week as well with the lightning round on Monday night. The Gen 6s will be heading to Kentucky, and then on Wednesday night it is the alternate week, so we don't have any GT racing over in the Aussie Outlaws series, but we will have some short track racing with the street stocks as they head to, I can't remember where, but the street stocks will be on Wednesday night, and that's open to multiple league members of ANZCAR, Aussie Outlaws, the Australian NASCAR E-Series, and one of the Kiwi leagues as well. So plenty of action there, and if you feel like coming out for a run, please do indeed. We'd love to see you out there. But while we've been talking, I think drivers have been shuffling into the green room. So I'm going to throw it over back to Mark as we'll start getting some interviews.
Yeah, well, we'll pull up the pilot of the Living Dangerously, Dave Douglas, the number 10 car. Welcome to the booth, mate, and congratulations on a great hard fought third place.
Yeah, cheers, boys. That was I don't know, same as last week, but different result, which is good.
Yeah, definitely. We were talking about that. We were just saying you're a man that loves to live things on the edge. And we were watching you from the cockpit with about 15 laps to go, and I said to Carl, he's not slowing down, so he's got to be feeling confident that he can make it home with that fuel that he's got on board.
Yeah, pretty much. I saw, obviously just keeping an eye on the black box, saving as much as I can the whole time. But then I was watching the gap to Daiso and Island. It was just getting less and less and less. They were catching me 2 seconds later than that. I said I turned the fuel off. I didn't even look at it for the last whatever laps, and just tried to do quali laps then. and I think that sort of saved me a little bit towards the end there, but just ran out of tyres.
Yeah, look, we made the comment when Daiso actually caught you. It looked like you were driving a wing sprint car with the amount of right hand turn you had, turn it going left.
Yeah, mate. Just got to try and press the crowd, mate. You know how it is. Just run the boards, let her eat. Rip the lip, but these things are fun to drive here, man. Like they are, like they're loose, so I love it. It's good. It's great.
It's good to see you back up there on the podium, mate. We're off to Nashville Fairground. A little bit of a difference between the last 2 weeks. Is the Nashville Fairgrounds a place you love, or you can leave it?
The short tracks are pretty fun if you get some good racing, but they can also get a bit spicy too, which we had a bit at the start here, a bit of spice at the start, which is good. You want to have something going on, dodging cars. Like at the start, I don't know if you saw it, I had to dodge 2 wrecks in 1 yellow, It was bloody crazy at the start there, but no, Nashville will be alright, I reckon. Come out there for a bit of fun and probably just do a one-stopper again, It's working for me at the moment.
Well, if we used to say DPR could get the extra mileage out of their cars, but you're definitely getting some mileage out of that Mustang, mate.
I had to tune her up, mate, because Barry Neal took us to school last week, so I had to just lean her out a bit,
Well, mate, again, congratulations on the third place. Before we let you go, shout out to sponsors and supporters, buddy.
Yeah, shout out to RCD Designs for the slick paint joke, as always. A1 Sim Sports, Riley, running out there. He didn't have the best night. He got a penalty, so other than that, he was going okay. But I think he got the fastest lap of the race, he was happy with that. So shout out to those guys. Obviously, the boys that show up every week and race, and obviously ANZCAR for putting on every week, and you boys for giving us something to watch back, and hopefully it was entertaining for you.
Yeah, it definitely was. Sorry, Mike just decided to turn off on me.
I was wondering if that was me or you, mate. I wasn't sure.
No, it was definitely a stuff up on my end. Yeah, Well, mate, we'll definitely see you next week out at Nashville Fairgrounds, and again, congratulations on a good hard fought third place.
Yeah, cheers, boys.
We'll bring up the man that doesn't normally get out here for some ovals, the pilot of the 623 DPR car, Chris Island. Welcome to the booth, mate, and congratulations on a great second place.
Thanks, fellas. It was a fun race.
Yeah, all the action happened behind you in that early part. A couple of cautions early on, but you guys seemed to work well together, and a great rundown in the closing stages of the race.
Yeah, look, it's a surprise what you can do when you actually practice before the race. So, yeah, it's good. I was really surprised. My overall pace, to be honest, I think I could sort of keep up with Dyson there, with the not just pace over one lap, but over an entire stint. Something I've really been struggling with lately is keeping my tyres in check. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how the race went today. There's a lot of action behind me, but I was just trying to run my race and save tyres as much as possible and not burn them up like I usually do.
Well, mate, whatever you've done tonight, it's definitely worked, because you definitely came on strong in that closing 10 laps to chase down Douglas. We weren't sure whether you were going to get him or not, but yeah, it was a great rundown and a great second place for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wasn't sure if I was going to run Douglas down either, to be honest. I was probably about 10 laps, like you said, about 10 laps to go. I realised, okay, we might not get too close to him here. He's not going to pit. I knew he could go to the end. I think he pitted around lap 45, so he could go to the end. And we weren't really catching up at him at a pace that was comfortable. So I sort of just, I thought, all right, God, we've got to put the foot down here and have a dip. So, yeah, I was cruising for about 70 laps and then really got the pace on in the final 10.
Yeah, well, mate, we're off to a bit of a different track next week. We're off to Nashville Fairgrounds as a short track. Are we going to see you back out there for a nice little challenge around that joint? We know that you can't always make the Thursday night Thunder Series, but when you do, you definitely put on a good show for us.
Yeah, I mean, I do like my short tracks, so you don't have to manage your tyres as much as these long ovals, so I'm a little bit better on those. So you might see me next weekend. I'll we'll have to wait and see, I guess.
Well, we might change it up for we'll take a set of tyres off you just so you got a challenge, mate.
I think you're going to need an extra set of tyres to be competitive at all. So I've got to buy the track and actually learn it. So if I do it maybe a couple of days before, then I might be half decent. You take a tyre set off me, but please keep it.
Oh, mate, it's great to see you out here and having a run. And again, congratulations on a great second place. We'll let Daiso do all the hard work, but any personal shout outs and thanks you'd like to give out?
Yeah, big shout out to Daiso and Steve Williams for jumping out today and having a run. It was good having a chat with them in Discord and leaning off of Dyson's information. He really helps with this sort of stuff and a lot with strategy as well. He just tells, he gives a bit of an idea of when we should push, things that you learn with experience that and he's just willing to hand down. So a big shout out to those boys, and obviously the boys back at TPR as well. We're all in Discord having a good laugh whilst enjoying the race at the same time. So shout out to all the boys over at DPR and you boys in the booth obviously as well. Broadcast is awesome as usual. Big shout out as well to the organisers of ANZCAR. It's an awesome series. I love racing in it. It's fun.
Well, Carl, with compliments like that, I think we can let Chris back into the booth again sometime soon.
Absolutely. I was about to say he's not watched this broadcast back yet, so he's going to change his tune soon.
Oh, don't worry. When we were under caution, I was having a quick squeeze, so didn't look too bad, fellas.
Yeah. Well, mate, again, congratulations on a great second place for yourself and the team DPR, first and second in the race tonight. So thanks for your time, and we'll see you next week over at Nashville Fairgrounds.
Thank you very much, fellas.
And that leaves the man himself, the pilot of the 41 Chevrolet, Mr. Andrew Dyson. Mate, welcome to the booth, and congratulations on another race win for the season.
Thanks, boys. That was a good one. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was a hard fought one in the end. We weren't sure whether your teammate was going to catch Dave Douglas, but we definitely were counting on you, and you definitely didn't disappoint catching him and making him drive a sprint car out there tonight.
I felt like I was driving a bit of a sprint car trying to catch him, to be honest. Chris actually said, I was like, oh, there's no way Dougie's making it. He has to pit again. And Chris said, nah, he made it to lap 45. And I went, oh, gee, that's still kind of pretty close. Anyway, as we sort of got going, I thought, gee, it's actually going to be, it's going to be pretty touch and go. So I started pushing on with it. And so did Chris towards the end there. And in the end, like it was, I got him by a couple laps in hand. But I was a little worried for a while there, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely a great race. You know, you guys that are running up the front, like Barry Neal, yourself, Ireland, even Shane Bowen now is starting to get in the mix with the front runners. The season's getting tougher. I think the season's getting tougher as it gets along. How do you feel about your competitors now? Is it a tougher season out there to past years?
Man, I think you just got to look at the races and see how close all the finishes have been. It's always pretty close, even if it's like not bumper to bumper or wheel to wheel. There's always a minimal amounts of time between each cars when there's a really long run. That's that to me tells you that it's pretty close. So it's always tough to win, man. I mean, especially when you got dudes like this week, last week playing some different strats, and last week definitely making it work. This week I'd argue Dougie still made it work because he come from nowhere to finish third. So there's and then you've got all those other guys that are sort of always there or thereabouts, ready to strike and pick up some pieces if anything goes down, sort of thing, or even make their own way to the front. So there's definitely a lot of dudes out there that are making that pretty competitive right now.
Yeah, definitely right. We're off to Nashville Fairgrounds next week. A little bit of a shorter track to the last 2 weeks. Love the joint, or can take it and leave it?
Was it IRP? Did you say?
Nashville Fairgrounds.
It's been a long time since I raced there. I think last time I raced there, me and Dougie actually had a bit of a ding dong door to door on the trucks. That was pretty awesome. One of the funnest races I reckon we've had. He and I've had anyway for a first and second. So different in the X-Finity cars. They're a bit sort of, they feel a little more top heavy compared to a truck. So it'll be a bit different to what I remember. But it should be good.
Yeah, all right, mate. Well, mate, again, congratulations on the race win. We left the hard work for you to give the sponsors a shout out, and so before we let you go, shout out to your sponsors and personal thanks.
One of these days I'm gonna have to try and bump in first and get one of the other boys to do it, or maybe I'll just I hate to say it, maybe I'll finish behind them. Hopefully not. Anyway, cheers to all the boys at Sim Rigs, Phoenix, all those folks that are on our car, and Max Mechanical, South Wellington Hoists, that big one on the rear quarter, can't miss it. And thanks to all you guys for putting us on, and all the drivers for coming out for a race each and every week.
All right, mate. Well, no worries. Again, congratulations on the race win, and thanks for your time tonight.
No worries, thanks, man, and thanks everyone for the good race.
Well, there you go, Carl. 3 very happy people. And as Daiso said, some very different strategies out there tonight.
Absolutely, and it's great to see. Look, as much as we love to see the super on track action of people splicing and dicing and chopping and changing every lap, sometimes a strategic race can also be a fascinating race, and we saw it tonight. Dave Douglas pulling the rabbit out of the hat. A great job from him to do that extra long stint to get it to the finish line and get home on the podium. So we are done and dusted for tonight, but we will see you all next week at Nashville Fairground for some more action here for the ANZCAR Funder Series. It is good night from myself, Carl Wilkinson, with you, and of course Mr. Mark Johansson, and we will see you all again next week. Thank you very much. Bye bye.